Welcome, everybody, to Virtue's Brand of Wrestling right here on the BigVitoBrand.com. I am Virtue, once again being joined by Rob. Rob, what is going on, man?
It is a great day to be a wrestling fan. A lot of exciting things to go over from Raw last night. I know you got a bunch of stuff planned, so, man, let's just jump right into it. What do we got?
All right, well, just so everybody's looking forward to it, next week, right here on Virtue's Brand of Wrestling, we are going to have a special guest, and he goes by the name of Big Vito LaGrasso, former WCW Hardcore Champion, and I believe he held some tag team title belts as well. So Rob and Vito and Virtue on the same video, face to face to face.
I'm excited, man. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so anyway, cliffhanger. But let's get right into the weeds here. For the last couple of weeks, we saw these vignettes, and we knew it was going to be Bray Wyatt. It started with the little, buzzard puppet out of the box, very cheesy, laughing like Bray laughs, turning into a cough like from the dust and smoke. Right. Okay, we got it. The next week they always air the previous one again the first hour before they do the new one. So last week they did the new one, and it was like a bunch of puppets and dolls, this little girl like from the Annabelle horror movie, and then she started laughing. Cool, creepy. All right, we see where we're going with this. Bray Wyatt's coming back soon. This week, they showed those first two, so we kind of expected a third one, right? And all of a sudden, I'm looking up, and it was Firefly's Funhouse, basically like a play on Pee Wee Herman, Pee Wee's Playhouse, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I don't know if you ever saw that movie with Robin Williams and Ed Norton, Death to Smoochie.
Oh, yeah.
So what Bray did, he's got his new look. He came out in the Mr. Rogers type, sweatshirt, khakis. Kind of reminded me of the Rainbow Randolph character from Death to Smoochie that Robin Williams played, in a way. Because to that character, when I watched that movie, it was for kids, but there was something dark behind him. Like he was, he did the thing for so many years. He had emotional issues in real life. If you ever have seen that movie, Death to Smoochie with Robin Williams, you have to watch it. Because Robin Williams, that character just lost it, that movie. So I see Bray wearing gloves, like OJ gloves. I don't know if they were batting gloves, OJ gloves, serial killer gloves. It said hurt and heal. So there's a lot of things going on here, man. Like it came across as cheesy. The today's hardcore demographic wrestling fans immediately crapped on it, Rob. But I don't think they looked at all and look at people are calling me even when I'm doing this video. What's your take? What is your take on this whole thing before I go into the weeds of the nuances that I popped for watching this?
This was the greatest thing that's been on Raw in so long. I am absolutely excited for this gimmick. For one, this is actually the gimmick that I have just pitched to my friends, when we're watching like a pay-per-view or something, that should have been given to Bo Dallas like years ago. This is exactly it. The really happy-go-lucky guy that is just always on edge. He's unstable. He could do the multiple Foley personality angle, and he's good enough to pull it off. This is amazing. This is going to be the best thing that happened to Bray Wyatt as long as they stay true to it and they don't pull back. Just let it be weird, let it be awkward, and let him have those moments of build-up until he finally snaps. I think this is amazing. This is wrestling. This is sports entertainment. I saw nothing bad out of that entire promo.
What I think the cynics are looking at is, so obviously the final deletion with what the Hardys did in TNA had a very indie feel to it, which I don't know if you were a proponent of that. I actually liked that when it went down, but the TNA version, because it was very underground, very indie. There was something, D-list horror movie about it. That's why I like that. Then when they tried to do it in WWE, it's like it just didn't work because WWE's production is at another level and something about it didn't work. And I feel, and you remember Bray and Randy Orton at WrestleMania and the holograms and the images, people just didn't like that. They loved it when it was the Wyatts and the Shield. That was when these groups were the Wyatts were at their hottest, especially Bray. So I think they're thinking it's just an embarrassment for Bray Wyatt. But what I noticed, so there's a emotional conflict, schizophrenia, something's going on. I hope they show with this character. Reminds me of what they did with Foley 97, 98, 99. And I just hope they let Bray be creative about this instead of telling him what he needs to do. There's no reason. He comes from a line of Mike Rotunda, Barry Windham. I'm sure he's chatted it up with Mick. He knows the business. He's talked to the people that did stuff. I mean, come on. They made his dad an IRS agent, okay? I hope they let Bray do this without handcuffs. What do you think?
Yeah, they need to let him just go and do his craziness because let's be real, from his first promos in NXT to the main roster, the best things about Bray Wyatt have been his promos. But the further he gets pushed along, remember, this guy's a former champion. It's hard to even remember that because of how many, the eater of pinfalls, as I ended up calling him. But like, if they could just back up, let him just do his thing, people will gravitate to him. This is someone who could be like a real champion and have a real build, unlike some champions we have maybe on SmackDown.
Do you think this could lead to him being him, even though it's goofy now, like a Mr. Rogers, but is it that, or is it something darker that, we're not seeing?
Yeah, I think it's going to be dark. I think it'll be less campy, but do you remember a couple of years ago when, they hurt Kane and he went in the ambulance as corporate Kane, but he came out as terrifying Kane, the big red machine. Now, I think it'll be better because it's Bray Wyatt and it's not a 50-year-old politician man now. But I think and again, that's what I wanted so much for Bo Dallas. And I hope Bo Dallas somehow comes into the fold with this. And they just have even Kurt Hennig's kid. What is his name? Why can't I think?
Well, we were talking about that. Like, you could have a cast of characters. You could make a faction. You could have the real life doll come to life. That doll could be Nikki Cross, Bailey.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And then you could have the bird puppet. It could be Bo Dallas. You could literally have a faction. Now, remember the oddities?
I was going to say a better version of the oddities, a more
better
version.
version. Yes. I'm intrigued. And look, the YouTube video in 24 hours has almost 1.5 million views. That says a lot. That's viral, okay, on YouTube. And not just that. The other stat that I noticed, it has almost 50, for every 50 thumbs up, it only has 5 or 6 thumbs down. It was like 50,000 to 5,000 ratio. That's a good positive ratio for something so polarizing.
He's not Adam Rose. People, and I saw that comparison. They're like, oh, he's a comedy act, like No Way Jose. No. When did you see Adam Rose cut a head off with a chainsaw and laugh like a crazy person? Have the hurt and heal glove.
Try to play it off like Mr. Rogers.
Yes. Oh, man. And this all hinges on, does he get a good opponent that can help him elevate? And that's a question for you, Virtue. Who would you put this new character against to get him over for his first win?
All right, are we classifying this as a heel or a baby face? You know what I would have thought would have cool? Instead of hurt and heel, H-E-L, it would have said face and heel, H-E-L.
That would have been neat.
But again, somebody pointed out
that,
but that's the stuff people want. Someone pointed out, oh, that's too Big Show-ish. Okay. So is he a heel or face? I mean, I don't think we really know right now.
I think to start out, it's going to be a face that everyone knows is just something's wrong and everything's going to go really well, I think, for a couple of weeks with his matches. I think he'll win some squash matches, but the second that someone pushes him, it's going to be like the Demon Finn Balor, but, better.
Okay, I got the opponent. The two hottest acts on the mic right now. I mean, I'm not – Bray is more of the vignette, but it's got over 1.5 million views in 24 hours. That says hot angle to me. Sami Zayn. That Sami Zayn and Bray Wyatt.
Shit on it. Should he just literally just be like, this is what the marks, this is blah, blah, blah. Like, just be really condescending about the whole gimmick. Almost fourth wall breaking, kind of walk that line a little bit.
I mean, it would just be so cool to see them, like Bray literally do vignettes and stuff incorporating Sami. But it's weird because I don't know where the fans would get behind. I mean, Sammy wants to be the heel. He wants the fans to hate him, but there's going to be some fans that like him because of what he's saying.
Sure.
And I think the same thing's going to happen with Bray. You're going to have people that hate that because the people that hate stuff like that hate Sammy going into business against the fans, that hates Bray playing this character before they even give it a chance to evolve, are the fans that want boring wrestlers in standard wrestling matches doing wrestling moves with a winner and a loser. I just, that doesn't do anything for me because I know it's not real. You know what I mean? I know it's not a real sport. So I want characters. I want story. I want drama. I feel like this is a weekly episode on Netflix now or Hulu.
Right.
Like I want to see these Firefly fun houses every week now. I hope they keep doing them.
Yeah, they should. Yeah.
What do you think, opponent-wise, that would make this work for Bray?
So, honestly, I would just like to see him somehow get into a program with his brother, Bo Dallas. I want to see that happen. It's never happened. His tag team, the B team's not doing anything. And let him bring Bo into the craziness because, Bo, I think he could pull off that similar gimmick that Bray's doing right now, and he would fit into that. I would say if you're going to build, I would build feuds to build a faction. We always talk about how great factions are, right? And what better two people to start this new faction with than Bo Dallas and Sami Zayn? What if you could get them both? Because they could both play that crazy kind of on edge, just break it, just get in their head over time, just make them just unstable. I would love that. And it would give them something meaningful to do that they could have done with Sanity, but they just decided we don't want to do anything with Sanity.
Eric Young might be available for something. You think Braun could be an opponent for Bray, but then again, if Braun's the baby face, would Bray have to be the heel? I mean, there's options.
Stable. Braun's not stable right now, though, at least in my opinion, because what is he right now? He's not competing really for any titles. He had arguably my least favorite WrestleMania ever. So two of my least favorite WrestleMania moments.
Because the last year with Nicholas.
Yep. And Nicholas, and then this. Yeah. So I don't know what is going on. I don't know. I've heard there's some backstage heat with him. Like he's not always the most professional. He could be a little bit late. And that sucks because he had everything going for him. He just had to not screw it up for a 2-month period. Apparently he just couldn't do it. So I don't know, because if Bray loses that, it kind of squashes his momentum. And if he beats Braun, what has Braun even done? People will slowly start to treat him like they did the Big Show.
But it's a fickle environment, like Daniel Bryan says, so we will see. To be continued on the Firefly Funhouse. All right, now something else that happened on Raw. I was kind of hoping that they would get Corbin to face Rollins at Money in the Bank because, it would have been an easy title defense for Rollins. But people could have been mad because too much Corbin means lower ratings. Like, that's all I see. Corbin's overexposed. He's not that talented. I think they shouldn't do AJ and Rollins so soon. I think we're going to talk about that on the No DQ review too.
Yeah.
They should have saved that for SummerSlam. What's your thought? And do you think Corbin should have got the heel? Some people tell me, well, just because he's getting booed doesn't mean no. People, look, I don't care. Raw ratings are up and down anyway, right? The first hour to the third hour always goes down. It doesn't matter if Roman was there. It doesn't matter. I mean, you might see a little increase with Roman there, but you can't just keep blaming it on Corbin. The reason why they are is because he's on TV so much, because he was the authority figure, and he's always doing something in matches that's easy to say it's his fault. But come on, people. Like, what's your take on this whole scenario?
People need to quit hating on Baron Corbin because, look, let's be real. His work rate, he's okay. He doesn't blow me out of the water. He doesn't suck. His mic work, I'm not a huge fan. But this guy obviously must be the best employee in the company if Vince McMahon trusts him so much to keep giving him so much. So let's say he's reliable. He's definitely improving. Think back to those NXT matches he had early on that were terrible. He's growing as a competitor. And yeah, he's not getting X-Pac or Nia Jax nuclear heat because people don't hate Baron Corbin the person. They don't like his character. So he's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. He's an unlikable heel, so you could cheer the other guy.
Yep. Oh, but people will say, well, he was in the triple threat, which he won, and then he was in the main event. against AJ, and the ratings went down. Look, if you look at Raw the last year, it's the same pattern from hour 1 to 3.
I would say the last 10 years. Hour 3 is significantly down, unless, the Undertaker is someone's supposed to show up and it's announced like 2 weeks in advance.
The kids go to bed. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I think they blow their wad, so to speak, and doing AJ and Rollins so soon. I mean, Money in the Bank is like now what King of the Ring used to be. It's like the 5th of the big 5. But I mean, to me, if you're gonna
that's your season finale. That's a season finale match. They should tease it and build it up to where they don't ever face each other over a few months. And then maybe at SummerSlam, when it finally comes to a head, it'll actually have some pressure behind it. It'll actually have some people excited. But nope, we're just going to throw it away and then do it 3 months in a row. And then by the time it's at the big pay-per-view, no one's going to give a shit. So whatever.
What else on Raw intrigued you? Anything? I mean, it was pretty much they had the 2 long triple threats. Now, here's what I did notice, right? They had the 2 long men's triple threat matches and the main. Short women matches. I mean, heck, the Naomi match was like 2 minutes. And then I'm just looking at Becky thinking, this is your main event winner of WrestleMania, Becky 2 belts. They literally it seems like they just pushed her back into mid-card.
Because there's no women bigger than Charlotte and Ronda and Becky because they haven't done a good job about elevating their mid-tier talent. So since they can't have those 3 opponents fight forever, no one really cares about these other people because they're not booked correctly. So therefore, it's just like, okay, well, Becky's champion. I guess we're still happy. That's still cool. But okay, there's no one really for her to face because she's not fighting Charlotte. She's not fighting Ronda. We don't give a shit.
Dude, and I like Lacey Evans. Like, she's very good on the mic.
Yeah.
And I think she's going to be a serviceable worker. And somebody like that, draw heat. You're supposed to be the heel. But I'm still not a proponent of insta title matches. I mean,
title match. They're both on the line.
And, you can go back to, after Jinder won, to troll the people that didn't like it. I was like, ha, ha, ha. But in reality, I did say, no, that should have been a U.S. title run for Jinder first. Obviously, everybody knows my take on Kofi Kingston. And I'll say the same with Lacey. I like her character, but, I mean, she beat Natty on a match on Raw, and now she basically, because of the way the brand split is and there's just nobody else, she's going to be Becky Lynch's opponent for the titles. And that's what hurts credibility, I think, in WWE.
Yeah. 50-50 booking. Natalya and Naomi may be my least favorite people on the roster. As an aside, I feel Natalya is probably the most boring person I've ever seen in my life. And Naomi...
Well, we get it. She's Brett's niece.
Yeah.
That's,
And this sounds terrible, but it's like, she exploited the shit out of her dad's death to try to get over and still didn't get over. And it's not a good look. And then Naomi just complains and look, your entrance is not a gimmick. I have no idea what you're about and get a new finisher. I don't know, Naomi. I don't care. I'm sorry.
Seriously, it's like, where's Brodus Clay at this point?
The Funkasaurus, man. Let's bring him back. What is he doing these days?
He's like an analyst on CNN or something like that. He's a smart,
good for him, man.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. What else, man? I always get blurry here.
I know. Yeah, you lean back. I don't know. Raw. I mean, there was more multi-man tag matches. Rey Mysterio was in the match. I know Aaron Riff talked about that a little bit. He just got squashed at Mania. I thought that was kind of weird. I'm kind of over Rey Mysterio too. Does anyone still care about Rey Mysterio at all? Like, it's kind of like, oh man, good for you.
The Latino fans, but I mean, that's why they have them, because there is.
But they got Andrade, who's better.
I know. And you'd think you'd put them together, but interestingly enough, so Andrade, Vega, and Aleister Black are, I guess, going to end up being on SmackDown, not Raw. Yeah. And the information I got is because Fox wants the Latino demographic, so that makes sense for Andrade and Vega to go over there. Now, a lot of people are like, well, then Black went over because they keep couples together. I mean, I think that's a coincidence that they're doing that. Maybe they do because they can save hotel rooms. I didn't know Vince paid for travel and hotel unless they were top stars, though. So I guess maybe they have something planned for Black on SmackDown, too. But what do you think that they did the Superstar Shakeup? Those three were clearly on Raw last week. Oh, nope. We changed it. They're back on SmackDown.
Because I think they knew immediately they'd be lost in the shuffle. And I was looking at height of people. I'm 5'11". I'm just under 6 feet tall. And most of these guys, like Aleister Black's only 6'1". Like a lot of these guys are so much smaller than I thought. But even Ricochet, who's I think it said he was listed at 3'6", so he's a little bit smaller than the rest of the guys on the roster.
3'6".
I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't. I think he's like
he lost clean to Ravishing Robert Roode. What like Aaron Riff said, the honeymoon is over. Welcome to the main roster.
Yeah, all I got to say in response to that is there was somebody else who everyone thought was going to have a big career because the crowd was behind him and he was undersized and not that impressive to me. And he was a perfect 10, and now he's probably going to be a perfect 10 in AEW. And speaking of AEW, how do you feel about Goldust? We got to talk about Goldust. Yep. He's done.
So he's out at
farewell. He's earned that. He left on his own terms. Good for him.
Yeah, and in Vince's eyes, he's not a draw, but it does create, like I said, what do you do when you're Cody and you're clearly like one of the big shots at the company, but you're still a worker? Don't do what Jeff Jarrett did and always book yourself in the main events as the champion. Right. Have the other guys, Hangman Page, Pac, and of course they got Omega and Jericho. So what do you do as Cody? You are in feuds, bitter feuds, or just classic feuds. And that I love the fact they're going to do this first with Cody, Dustin versus Cody. Remember, they wanted that Mania match and Vince never gave it to him. Mm-hmm. So when I see Cody, being booked, I hope that he continues to do this type of stuff with personal feuds or, whatever. I don't know how they're going to develop this with Dustin, if it's going to be, thrill of victory and agony of defeat like Wade Keller loves, or if it's going to turn into like sibling rivalry. But I like it. I mean, to me, that might be a bigger deal to me than Jericho Omega, because we already saw Jericho Omega, or any of the other matches, because these are WWE guys now going to be on a big stage somewhere else having a big match that WWE didn't give them. This makes me feel like, this is a WCW feel. The other thing that feels like indie, New Japan, Ring of Honor, even the Jericho Omega, New Japan. This Cody and Dustin thing makes me feel like the 90s.
No, what do you think? Yeah, as long as he doesn't come out in that weird 7 gimmick. I think he ran that for like 1 week back in WCW. I'm actually excited to see what Goldust does. I'm excited to see, because we really haven't seen him outside the Goldust character. Have we ever seen him in WWE outside of Goldust? I think he may have been Dustin Rhodes for a little bit, or was that just WCW?
I mean, even when he played artist formerly known as Goldust, he was coming out with the ball gags and all that like weird porn shit. So that was an extension of Goldust. So,
So I'm curious to see what type of homage they give to Dusty, though. They're going to have some spots in the match that are going to have to be, because you have to imagine this is probably going to be their last match together with this much hype behind it, right?
Yep.
So what do they do to do that homage to Dusty? So I'm excited for that. Man, AEW for a t-shirt company, man, like I'm starting to get excited for it. I am looking forward to. We all know they have a TV deal or it's going to be announced.
I heard they're paying to be on TV, though. That's a unique start. Obviously, maybe get some credibility first before someone actually gives them a deal.
I don't know how true that is. Yeah, I haven't heard that, but I believe it. Especially if it's going to be a network like Turner, and Ted might just be a little hesitant to do something like that. But if the cons are like, look, man, if you're that confident in your product that you're going to give them money, you got to spend money to make money. I think it's a baller move, man. I think it's great.
And one more thing I wanted to talk about.
Sure.
And the internet exploded again. I keep hearing Ring of Honor's nothing. Enzo, nobody wants Enzo and Cass. Dude, I love that Kaz's promo, the selfie promo.
Yeah.
Dude, to me, that was a shot at, remember WWE started having everybody do those selfie promos, but he got to say F-bombs, call them the flippity flop. Some people don't like Cass because he's too big of a guy, but he talks like weird. Dude, I thought that was money, and I love that Enzo wasn't involved with this. You got to hear Cass first, Kaz XL. Because now you hear Kaz XL cut this promo on the Briscoes, piss the marks off, the Ring of Honor fans off because of what he said, which is brilliant. Now you're waiting for Enzo to get involved. Dude, even Meltzer reported, oh, it might have just been a one and done at Madison Square Garden for attention WrestleMania weekend. Well, I think they're going to at least have a pay-per-view match against the Briscoes, even if the Briscoes go over. I don't know who at Ring of Honor is involved with this, but that's business wrestling 101. You don't just do that for a pop. You need to. These Ring of Honor fans hate Enzo and Cass. You got to let them keep insulting the product, the fans, the Briscoes. Get the big pay-per-view match set up and let the Briscoes beat them there, right? And then Enzo and Cass get their payday, and then they can go move on, maybe AEW. That's wrestling, Rob. People hate them. That's heels. You're not supposed to like heels. And matter of fact, though, all these people that claim they hate Enzo and Cass now were chanting all of that stuff when they came up from NXT.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I'm on the other side of that fence with that, whereas and as you know, I wasn't a huge fan of them in WWE. But my God, are they entertaining outside and Unchained?
It's like you want to hear what's next now. Even
Absolutely.
The Briscoes, like I never gave a shit about the Briscoes or Ring of Honor. I want to hear them now. I want to hear management at Ring of Honor and how they're going to do. And I hope something happens. Like I said, just one match, one pay-per-view match. You don't have to sign them to a contract. Do a pay-by appearance. Put the one pay-per-view match, Rob. Briscoes can go over on them.
They need to drag it out, though. If they are going to go that route, they should have like a couple shows where they have the heightened security, but no one shows up just in case, and then have them come out later, though. But it should not be a one and done because these guys are money. And I bet you and I know Triple H has seen all of this. I guarantee that Triple H watches that and he just sees dollar signs. But I don't think that Vince would allow him to do it just because of the Enzo situation and what it was, even though he didn't do anything wrong outside of withhold information from the company, which, yeah, that's something you shouldn't do. But at this point, man, WWE's losing money on not having these guys in their company.
I think Vince McMahon will entertain bringing them back once because Enzo and Cass at one point were top on the merch list. So if the bigger buzz that they can create outside of WWE, whether it's Ring of Honor, maybe they show up on Impact, maybe they go into Japan. I mean, could you imagine those two, because they're working with Ring of Honor, showing up at a New Japan event doing that?
That'd be awesome.
That would light the internet on fire. And then, of course, AEW. They're calling themselves free agency, just like Bray Wyatt. I now am invested. I want to hear the next promo. I want to see the next vignette. That is sports entertainment. That's supposed to build up to watching people wrestle in between those ropes.
Can't say it any better myself, my friend. That was beautiful.
That's all I got this week. Anything else?
Man, that's all I got.
Sweet. Well, yeah. You know the routine then.
I know the routine. So, yeah, you guys can follow me at Xenomecha, Xenomecha. Keep in mind, we are going to be joined by Mr. Big Vito himself. So definitely check into that. Virtue, I know, a few places they can find us and a few places that you're trying to get me on. And what would those places be?
So first of all, right here on the BigVitoBrand.com on Virtue's Brand of Wrestling. And like you mentioned, next week, it'll be you, I, and Big Vito. You can also catch Rob and I on Wrestling with Virtue over on Andre Corbeil's site, WrestlingWithWrestling.com. And guess what? We are filming a new one of those this week, so that'll be up shortly. And, of course, NoDQ.com, where I do Virtue's Rage. You know what? We might have to get you on to start. Can you do Facebook Live? I think you just need an iPhone or an Android phone because you can do split screen. We might have to do a Virtue's Rage. Big G might get mad for a week, but you and I might have to do Virtue's Rage once. And then that's where I think Aaron, because Aaron usually watches those live, that's where I think your audition to end up being on the review. And I know it's really ultimately my say. I'm just kind of dragging it out. I'm not dragging my feet, but I'm just kind of dragging it out because I really think we are going to add a fifth panel member at some point. So that's all I got. You can follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. So for Rob, I am Virtue. This is the BigVitoBrand.com, and we will see you next week with Big Vito.